In many Muslim households, there is a beautiful spiritual tradition practiced with sincere faith. Reading specific verses from the Qur'an and blowing over a handful of salt before entering the toilet. This simple act is much more than a ritual. It is a powerful reminder of Allah's protection, purity, and mercy. The salt, a symbol of cleansing and preservation, when combined with the sacred words of the Qur'an, becomes a spiritual shield guarding us from harm and negative influences. This practice is not explicitly found in the core sunnah, but has been embraced by many as a spiritual means to cultivate reliance on Allah and maintain purity not just physically, but also spiritually. It encourages mindfulness and trust that Allah alone is the ultimate protector in all moments, even those that may seem mundane or overlooked. Before you start your day or enter any space, take a moment to ground yourself spiritually. Remember, true protection and peace come from trusting Allah alone. Preparation. Selecting the salt and Quranic verse. When preparing for this spiritual practice, it is important to use clean, pure salt, preferably natural sea salt or rock salt, free from impurities. Salt has long been recognized not only for its physical preservative qualities, but also as a symbol of purity and protection. By using pure salt, you honor this symbolism and invite spiritual cleanliness into your space. Traditionally, the Quranic verses recited over the salt are powerful supplications for protection. Many choose Ayat al-Kursi, Surah al-Baqarah 2255, known for its immense spiritual protection, alongside the last two chapters of the Quran, Surah al-Falaq and Surah an-Nas, which seek refuge from harm and evil forces. The recitation is done with sincere intention, niyyah, to seek Allah's protection, to cleanse negative energies, and to prepare oneself mentally and spiritually before entering a place as vulnerable as the toilet. Real story. In a small town recently hit by a wave of illness, the Hassan family turned to this practice daily. They shared how reciting the Qur'an over salt and blowing it around their home brought them calm and reassurance amidst uncertainty. They believed this simple act, combined with their trust in Allah, shielded them from fear and negativity, helping them persevere with hope. Choose purity, not just physically, but spiritually. When you prepare, do it with a heart full of trust in Allah's mercy and power. Reciting the Qur'an over the Sa. To begin, find a quiet place where you can focus your heart and mind fully. Hold the salt gently in your hand and prepare to recite the chosen Quranic verses, most commonly Ayat al-Kursi, followed by Surah al-Falaq and Surah an-Nas. Recite each verse slowly and clearly, paying close attention to the meaning behind the words. It's essential to be mindful and sincere, as the power of these verses comes not only from their recitation, but from the faith and presence you bring to them. The salt, in this moment, becomes more than just a mineral. It symbolizes purification and preservation. When combined with the words of Allah, it transforms into a vessel carrying divine protection and spiritual energy. The Quran's verses are a powerful reminder of Allah's might over all creation, and when spoken with belief, they activate that spiritual power. This connects deeply to the story of Prophet Moses, peace be upon him. When he was commanded by Allah to confront Pharaoh and his magicians, his staff transformed into a serpent, and his words brought miracles, turning water into blood, splitting the sea, and controlling natural forces by Allah's command. These events show us that Allah's words hold power over nature and unseen realms, much like how the Quranic verses we recite today carry divine protection and blessing. Speak the words of Allah with full heart and belief. Let these sacred words transform the ordinary into a shield against harm. Blowing over the salt and its spiritual meaning. After reciting the sacred verses over the salt, the next step is to gently blow over the salt with your breath. This act, simple yet deeply symbolic, represents the spreading of Allah's blessings and protection from your heart outward into your surroundings. Your breath becomes a carrier of spiritual energy, infusing the salt and the space you enter with divine mercy and safeguarding. Physically, blowing disperses the salt particles, symbolizing how purity and protection are not confined to one place but extend beyond, touching everything around you. Spiritually, it is a way of inviting Allah's guardianship into your environment, especially into vulnerable spaces like the toilet, which is traditionally considered a place where spiritual defenses can be lower. This practice aligns with broader Islamic teachings on purification and cleanliness. Islam emphasizes tahara, both physical and spiritual purity, as a foundation of faith. Just as we wash away physical impurities, we also seek to cleanse our hearts and surroundings from harmful influences. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that faith and actions go hand in hand, and even the smallest act performed with sincere belief holds great value in Allah's eyes. Real story. Consider the story of Amina, a young woman living in a conflict zone who began this ritual after learning about it from her grandmother. During a sudden and dangerous outbreak of violence near her neighborhood, Amina felt overwhelmed with fear. Yet, by faithfully reciting over the salt and blowing it around her home, she found a sense of calm and security. Amina says, "It was not just the salt or the words. It was my trust in Allah that gave me strength." This simple ritual helped me face fear with faith. Her story reminds us that spiritual practices anchor us in moments of uncertainty. Let your breath carry the blessings of Allah. Trust that even the smallest act done with faith can protect and heal. Entering the toilet with trust in Allah only. In every action we take, even the most mundane like entering the toilet, Islam teaches us to carry tawakkul, complete trust and reliance on Allah. This trust is not passive. It is an active spiritual state, where we acknowledge that Allah alone controls all affairs and that His protection surrounds us in every moment. When you enter the toilet, a place traditionally seen as spiritually vulnerable, embracing tawakkul transforms this ordinary act into a moment of mindfulness and connection with the divine. This mindfulness reminds us to be present, aware of our intentions, and conscious that no matter where we are, Allah's protection is near. It teaches that spiritual purity begins with the heart's attitude, trusting Allah's plan, seeking His help, and surrendering all fears and worries to Him. The story of Prophet Joseph, peace be upon him, beautifully illustrates this. Despite being thrown into a well by his brothers, sold into slavery, and later imprisoned unjustly, Yusuf never wavered in his trust in Allah. His unwavering reliance gave him strength to endure hardship and ultimately led to his triumphant rise as a leader in Egypt. Through every trial, his faith was his shield and his peace. Like Yusuf, we are reminded to hold tight to tawakkul in daily life's small and big moments. Entering the toilet with this trust is a symbol of surrendering our fears and inviting Allah's protection and peace into even the most private spaces. No matter where you go, carry your trust in Allah with you. It is your true protection and your peace. Deepening the subject, spiritual cleanliness beyond physical cleanliness. In Islam, cleanliness, tahara, holds a special place, not only as a physical requirement but as a spiritual principle. While washing our hands, face, and body removes dirt and germs, spiritual cleanliness protects and nurtures the soul, the very essence of our being. Physical purity is visible, but spiritual purity is the unseen light that guides our thoughts, actions, and connection with Allah. This practice of reading the Qur'an and blowing over salt before entering the toilet beautifully bridges both dimensions of cleanliness. It is not merely about keeping the body free from impurities, but also about guarding the heart and soul from negativity, doubt, and spiritual harm. The salt symbolizes purification, while the Qur'an's words represent divine power and mercy that cleanse our inner selves. The Qur'an frequently emphasizes the importance of purity in all its forms. For example, Allah commands in Surah Al-Baqarah 2:222, "Indeed, Allah loves those who are constantly repentant and loves those who purify themselves." This verse points to the need for both physical cleanliness and continuous spiritual renewal. Another verse in Surah Al-Ma'idah 5:6 instructs believers on the ritual washing before prayer, highlighting how physical cleanliness prepares one for spiritual communion. In recent years, especially during the global COVID-19 pandemic, many communities found that maintaining spiritual cleanliness was as essential as physical hygiene. In a small village, a group of individuals adopted the practice of reciting Qur'an over salt and blowing it in their homes to create a sense of peace and divine protection amid uncertainty and fear. They reported feeling calmer and more hopeful, recognizing that while they washed their hands regularly to fight the virus, they also needed to cleanse their hearts and minds from worry and despair. This holistic approach helped them cope with stress and strengthened their faith. This story reminds us that true purification is not just about rituals or external acts, but about surrendering ourselves wholly to Allah's will. When we consciously cleanse our souls, we nurture resilience, peace, and a deeper connection to the divine. Cleanse your soul daily, not just your body. The best purification comes from surrendering fully to Allah's will. Real-world impact and reflections. Ancient spiritual practices like reading the Qur'an over salt before entering the toilet may seem simple, yet they carry timeless wisdom that remains deeply relevant today. In a fast-paced world filled with uncertainty, these rituals remind us to slow down, reconnect with our faith, and nurture a sense of inner peace. They invite us to create sacred moments, even in ordinary actions, grounding us in trust and mindfulness. Modern science increasingly recognizes the value of such rituals. Studies show that mindfulness and intentional cleansing rituals reduce stress, boost mental well-being, and enhance our immune response. The act of focusing on a meaningful practice calms the nervous system and fosters resilience. This harmony between ancient spiritual wisdom and contemporary science highlights the profound insight embedded in these traditions. As you watch this, take a moment to consider your own spiritual habits. What small action in your daily routine helps you feel closer to Allah? Perhaps it's a quiet prayer, a moment of gratitude, or a simple act of kindness. These small acts, when done with sincerity, build a stronger connection to the divine and a peaceful heart. Pause and reflect. What small act can you do today to bring your heart closer to Allah? Share your experiences and let's learn together. Closing with call to action and request for comments S. In summary, the practice of reading the Qur'an and blowing over salt before entering the toilet is a beautiful reminder that every moment, no matter how ordinary, can be transformed through faith, purity, and trust in Allah. This simple act invites spiritual protection, cleansing, and mindfulness into our daily lives, reinforcing the truth that Allah alone is our ultimate guardian. I encourage you to try this practice with sincerity and an open heart. Feel the peace that comes from placing your trust fully in Allah, and allow this ritual to deepen your connection with Him. Your voice matters. How do you connect spiritually in your daily routine? What are your thoughts on these messages or experiences with this practice? Please share your reflections in the comments below, and together, let's build a community grounded in faith and trust in Allah. Your voice matters, How do you connect spiritually in your daily routine? Share your thoughts below, and let's build a community of faith and trust in Allah.